Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of our Startup Gateway webinar series. I'm Mary Yazdani, CEO and founder of GenesisLink. Today, we have a fantastic session ahead discussing venture capital, the Canadian Startup Visa Program, and how recent political shifts are reshaping the immigration landscape. Before we jump in, please drop a quick hello in the chat. Tell us where you are tuning in from today. Hello, Toronto. Hello, Jason. Hello, Sabah. Toronto, Burlington, Markham, Toronto, Toronto. That's interesting. Last time we had participants from everywhere. This time it seems that the people from Toronto are mostly here, or Ontario, Edmonton, Toronto. Perfect. So before we start, I wanted to mention that this is an informational session. We are not immigration consultants, immigration lawyers. So anything, any information that is being shared here or discussed here are our perspective about the immigration. So please don't rely on them as a source, legal source for proceeding your applications or for the immigration needs. Now let's start the discussion. For those new to GenesisLink, we are a business consulting firm dedicated to helping foreign entrepreneurs establish and scale their ventures in Canada. From ideation and business planning to HR, finance, marketing, and R&D, we offer tailored support at every step. Over the past 5 years, we have successfully supported over 17 startup visa team and more than 200 PR applications, maintaining a 100% approval rate up to date and enabling multiple industry awards, also earning multiple industry awards along the way. This webinar series is specifically designed for immigration professionals, entrepreneurs, and stakeholders interested in Canada's startup visa. We bring timely updates, strategic insights, and exclusive conversations with influential industry experts. Today, we are privileged to have a leading voice from the Venture Capital Board, Tommy Baltzis, CEO of WhiteHaven. Please help me welcome Tommy. Hi, Tommy.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being here today with us. So I will explain a little bit about you. Tommy holds CFA and CPA designation and with over 2 decades of experience in strategic management and financial innovations. He leads Whitehaven in democratizing alternative investments. He frequently contributes to international forums, speaking on economics, geopolitics, and innovation. Tommy, could you briefly also introduce Whitehaven?
Sure. So, yeah, Mary, thank you for that lovely introduction. Whitehaven has been around for a decade, which I started, and we focus mostly on wealth management. We also have our own funds in the public markets, and part of our organization is being a designated organization on the venture capital side. So we get to make it simple for people is we are a multi-licensed organization where people come and we basically either can do it ourselves or through our referral parties figure out what their needs are and what they're looking for. So in a nutshell, we're a financial firm that has a part of it that's regulated and a part of it that is other types of businesses from corporate finance to designated organization on the SUV side.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction. So now we will see what today's discussion is. Today we will talk about these political changes and immigration trends, VC investment and SUV program, and priority processing and investment requirement from the venture capital firms, strategic advice, and at the end, we will close it with the questions that we received from the attendees. So let's start the first segment. We have recently seen major political developments. Donald Trump was elected as US president, quickly reigniting a tariff war with Canada. Meanwhile, new Prime Minister Mark Carney has scheduled Canada's federal election for April 28, raising more uncertainty. So, Tommy, I read your recent article, The Tariff Gambit, Trump's Poker Face versus Canada's Last Hand, that was published on March 15, where you analyze these tensions. Given recent updates like the temporary postponing of tariffs and the upcoming Canadian elections, do you still hold the same perspective? And of course, for the audience that may not read your perspectives, can you also briefly highlight the key points for us?
Sure. I don't even know where to start. Every day I woke up this morning and there's just news coming in every day. But before I just dive into it, I just wanted just to highlight something is the people that don't know me, if you speak to anybody that has heard any of my presentations, because I do speak on wide topics around the world as well. For example, I was in Davos in the World Economic Forum on a side panel speaking about AI, about infrastructure financing for the public sector. So right now, everybody's just freaking out at what's happening. And why I'm bringing that up is for those that have heard my presentations, we set expectations. I hate when people tell me, "What are you predicting?" I hate that because it's your expectations change with data and what's happening around the world. So in 2018, I had done a presentation in Edmonton and in Calgary where I spoke about how I expected Russia to invade Ukraine in the next decade. A few years ago, I didn't believe China brokered a deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia and expected some turmoil in the Middle East. So again, these are expectations. So obviously, people that follow me ask me what do I see happening, and I wrote two articles in within 2 weeks because there's just so many things going on. So right now, just for people to just get a bit of understanding, the world is not going back to 2019. I can't remember which organization it was. I don't know if it was the World Economic Forum or the OECD. Basically said that 25% of individuals are not going back to the lifestyle that they had pre-COVID. Now, that being said, is we've enjoyed a fantastic run after World War II, where the U.S. had phenomenal growth, China had phenomenal growth, and we're at a point right now where the pie isn't really getting bigger. Governments have gotten fat, if you want, inflated, and now the democratic states over the last 75 years have replaced war with guns and knives, if you want, and tanks, with the pen and lawyers. So we are in economic war right now, and this is what's happening right now. Is that which government is going to fail? That's what's happening. Is countries can go bankrupt, right? And the point that we're at right now is that Canada, and that's when if people can read the article, I won't dive into it really, is that don't focus really on what Trump is saying, but what is he doing, right? Canada is a great ally to the U.S. We're the U.S. really wanted Canada to be there in a sense that during the Cold War, we were right in the perfect position to fight the Russians or to be intel between the U.S. and Russia, part of the flight path. Well, that technology evolved. Fast forward, and we're at a different landscape. So basically, what the U.S. is, basically what my article is saying is, I know for purpose of time is that the U.S. has lost trust into Canada quite a bit because they feel that Canada has been infiltrated by specifically Chinese political parties that have come in and have put money. I mean, look at TD that got fined $2 billion from the Department of Justice, well, Canada, but Department of Justice for helping launder money from China. So, and then there's a fentanyl. So that's the part of it, is that right now our politicians are focusing on, make things in Canada. Well, my article is just saying, well, let's look a little bit on a macro scale what's happening. And that's where we are today. There is basically economic warfare that's happening right now. And the US have lost faith in being a trusted partner, Canada, as part of the group.
Yeah, that's interesting perspective, I believe, for the just what's happening around the world. And as you're saying, that definitely, I cannot remember any time more uncertain than these days. Before, for some specific round of the world, just we had these uncertainties, but it's interesting that now these uncertainties are coming even to North America and all these countries as well.
So, Mary, just to highlight what you just mentioned, is that the article I wrote right before that was how no how we're going how what was it called? It was called how abnormal times are how normal times are becoming an abnormal. I can't remember exactly the title, but if you look at it, is that the last 75 years have been the most peaceful time in the history of mankind, and we're going back to a more normal time. The only problem is that we have a short attention span, and we didn't live at those times, right? Most of the people. So that's the issue that we have today, is that we're going back to a point where it's actually a normal time, but people are not used to this. And like I said, I'm not going to go into it, and we have a lot of things to talk about. But yeah, you can share with people with my articles. A lot of people I've gotten great feedback on them, because it gives a little perspective that you don't really hear in the regular media.
Exactly, exactly. Everyone is talking, and I love the part that you were saying that now everyone is talking about Canada being just depending on itself and buying Canadian and everything, but the problem is coming from somewhere else. And these are the I really like the how you were looking at differently and how
Yeah.
you analyze the situation differently. So, Tommy, given this political and economic uncertainties, what specific sectors or business opportunities should entrepreneurs target to leverage the current climate, especially considering the rapid rise of AI?
Oh, that's a loaded question there. It's very hard to again to predict, because every day tariff on, tariff on, tariff on, tariff on. Buying anybody's buying money from Venezuela, anybody buying oil from Venezuela, you're going to get another tariff. So what's happening right now in the world is, we saw that with the Ukraine war, that the BRICS came together to try to have leverage against the US. In a nutshell, that's what happened. Is that everybody got together. That Brazil's buying from Russia fertilizer. If they don't get their fertilizer, they can't do their 2-3 crops per year, because their land is not very good for agriculture. They're buying the equipment from China. So what's happening? Everybody's doing barter deals amongst themselves. So everybody on their own couldn't go see the U.S. and really negotiate. So they got together and pushed the BRICS. Well, now you're seeing a bit the other side, is the democratic states, where Canada's talking about joining Europe. Okay, we saw that. I mean, the UK and Canada has been trying to get a dairy deal for 7 years. So I just think that's smoke and mirrors. At the end of the day, you have the largest consumption-based economy right next to you. So for VCs, it's a bit the same. I was going to tell you, for investment purposes. Any client that comes to see us in the wealth management is asking the same question: is pre 2019, you wanted to get into agriculture, you just buy an agricultural mutual fund ETF, depending, I'm just summarizing and staying at a high level. Well, today is like, well, hold on here. If I buy this ETF, am I in emerging markets? Am I in this? Am I in Ukraine? Am I in Russia? So now it's getting a little more active management. And that's what's happening even on the VC side, or on the private side, I should say, in general, is that um, everybody's taking a little bit of a back seat right now, and waiting to see what's happening, um, because obviously uncertainty, people don't want to put money into something that's uncertain, especially in time. So you're getting a little bit, there's a lot of money, dry powder that we call, sitting on the side waiting to see how things stabilize. So that's the challenge right now for anybody in the private side, is to convince why your investment opportunity, uncertain, even through uncertain times, is really worthwhile. Now when you jump into AI, um, the I don't want to say the issue, but um, AI is going to change the world. We're seeing it right now. This is, I mean, I'm probably repeating, everybody's heard about it, is this is like the next big thing since the Industrial Revolution. The difference, every technology we've had in the past has eliminated blue collar work, bolts, nuts and bolts. Even email, but basically, instead of having a mailman, deliver your mail, well, it's electronic. But what happened is that the jobs changed, right? They morphed. That's the big difference, right? Where AI, we have no clue. Like, for example, the banks, when they got their ATM machines, well, they offered other services, different stuff. So the technology impacted to improve certain aspects. The difference here, it's white collar work that's being challenged, right? So for example, is that we don't know what the impact is. All we know that the AI right now is going to create jobs related to data centers, to energy. That's all we know. Everything else, we have no clue. I mean, it's learning on its own. It can design its own. It can make its own. Like, it's really, we're still in an infancy stage. Obviously, we're going to see robotics. Like, this is going to be a major disruptor. So I'll give you an example. I was in Davos in Switzerland, like I mentioned, at the World Economic Forum, and I went to a presentation on, I think it was when I was in Bloomberg. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the, journals, Wall Street Journal, I think it was. So, uh, one individual came to see me. He was from India, and he told me, "Oh, this is amazing what we can do in AI." And I said, "If I were you in India, I would be worried sick." And he's like, "Why?" I said, "You guys are the white collar work of the world right now. China was the blue collar work, and India became the white collar work. All the most companies have their service centers, their call centers, and all that in India. You guys are going to get a lot of jobs replaced." And he's like, "Oh my God, I've never looked at it that way." So I said, Canada, China, and India are going to have well, China already has major issues right now with everything that's going on. But India is going to have issues if they don't really start thinking about how to morph themselves. Now, India is an economy that really closed down to itself and didn't participate really on the world stage. So they have their own, they got a good population. It's a little different things. We're not going to go into India's geopolitics and economy, but the difference now with AI is that there's going to be changes. We don't know what's happening. So anybody that's getting into it, I mean, the buzzword right now, everybody just throws in AI in their pitch deck and it's like the hot thing, right? So I would tell you, it's at the end of the day, what's your vision? What are you trying to accomplish? And this is all noise. So at the end of the day, it's you really got to pitch and you got to really bring to the table what is your vision as an entrepreneur.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Everyone now thinks that adding AI into what they are offering or what they are aiming to do, that will solve all the problem, which I think it can bring also confusion if this is not the right solution for you. It's important to understand how we can leverage AI, but not necessarily changing everything because of AI.
Yeah, and I'll even just add one little twist is that, AI, to have the high power AI that we really want, I'm not talking about ChatGPT and asking it a question here. I'm talking about really power that you need, energy that you need. You need some substantial chips. There's not enough chips in the world to do everything that we want. We want to do AI for cars. We want to do AI for government stuff. We want to do AI for, just improving services. AI, there's not enough chips in the world to be able to do them. So at one point, like I know this is my opinion, is that I know a lot of people are like AI, AI. I don't think we're there yet. I think it's going to take time, but I just don't think we're there yet. So we're seeing incremental increases, and obviously in the learning of it, and take this book, summarize it for me, answer this email for me, and all that stuff. Yeah, that's fine. But when you start getting into real stuff where you're going to integrate 5G and IoT devices and be able to link them to talk to each other and all that stuff.
That's
Oh,
ex- yeah.
there's a lot, a lot of energy and a lot of chips that you're gonna need. So,
Exactly. No, that's true. So thank you so much for sharing your insight for this section. Now we will go to a quick poll from our audience. And this is the question: which political factor do you believe most impacts a startup visa applicant decisions? A, US tariff and trade policies, B, upcoming Canadian election outcomes, C, global economic uncertainty, D, Canadian immigration policy changes. Please drop your answers in the chat and we will review them quickly. B, D. So B is upcoming Canadian election outcomes, D, Canadian immigration policy changes, which I think these two answers relate to each other. B, I think most of the people they agree that upcoming Canadian election outcomes is impacting the startup visa. And I think and D also is the same as I'm saying, they relate somehow. Perfect. Thank you so much for participating on the poll. Now let's go to the second segment of our discussion, which is VC investment and SUV program. So before I start this, I want to kick off this segment with a quick audience poll. And this is our poll. Which designated organization type do you think currently has the highest SUV approval rate? A, venture capital firms, B, angel investor groups, C, business incubators, D, onshore. Angel investor, D, onshore, onshore, A, venture capital firms. So interestingly, recent IRCC data revealed that VC-backed startups have a lower SUV approval. And I should mention that this is not up to date. This is based on the stats that we have up to end of April 2024. So I should say we requested new updates, but we haven't received them yet. But till that time, this was contrary to past beliefs. Tommy, why do you think that this is happening, and how can a startup working with VCs improve their success rate?
Okay, so there's again a lot of these questions. It's hard to point and just give one answer that's going to be like, you do this, you'll be fine. Because, like you mentioned, historically, you get other data or other types of behavioral in the government. During COVID, you got another one. And then going forward, it all hinders on demographics, right?
Mm,
So why you have a higher success rate right after COVID through incubators is they get the bulk of it. They submitted the most files, and the government had more favorable, if you want, policies to bring in people.
mm,
Now, fast forward today, the rhetoric from the government is that they're going to try to favor and push startup visa programs more because on the incubator side, in the incubator side, you're getting more like startups, idea concepts.
yeah,
On the SUV side, well, you're getting a little more businesses that may have already have a market locally that are looking to expand. So there's a little more research to be done to see, well, yeah, okay, your business, fits in India, like I mentioned, but will it be good in North America? So there's a little more due diligence to be able to. So there's less applicants, and obviously there was with COVID there was a fallback on cases being, we went from 6 months to 9 months to at 4 years or something at one point.
yeah.
So they've added more people from what we've understood from IRCC. So now we are today in 2025, March 25th. If you ask me today what impact going forward is, well, a bit like what the poll said, obviously tariffs, political environment, and everything. At the end of the day, I would tell people that are looking to come into the country and looking at the SUV program or any designated organization is that Canada has a very low birth rate. We are going to need immigration. As baby boomers start retiring, and until AI picks up and robotics and all that aspect of it, and how we're going to see how things are going to play out around the world, we don't know the impact. You look at Canada in part of the OECD, we're ranked last in economic growth forecasted. Canada needs innovation. So I believe going forward, the startup visa program is going to get more popular. Canada needs, like I said, people. So I'm expecting the governments to have some sort of change in the programs going forward, but I don't know how. I mean, nobody knows, and nobody knows what kind of impact, right? So I think it's going to impact more the incubator side because the mass volume was going there. I
Mhm.
don't think it's going to really impact in the SUV. I think they will focus on it because they want to have, like startups. It's nice, but it takes time. If you get something that's a little pre-revenue, ready to go a little bit, can create jobs, I think they're going to try to favor that, and I think that's what is going to happen going forward. Now, if you ask me, and if the IRCC ever hears me or listens to me, I would try to change the program to the point where you get companies coming in or individuals and entrepreneurs coming in at even earlier stages, but let's say the incubators presenting the opportunities to the venture capital group. And because what happens is, and maybe I'm going a little too far now, maybe we'll ask the question, but it will be a further down a question. But the issue is when it's a question of where you're coming from, trust. So when you're coming to a designated organization or even somebody that wants is looking for capital, it's like, okay, how did you hear about us? Where did you come from, right?
Yeah.
Now, when it's in Canada, it's a little easier when somebody's looking at it because came from this university, came from that. He got he got a financing from Export Development Canada. Who knows, right? When you're coming from a foreign country, and it's hard, right? So it takes time to know the people, build up the relationship to a certain point, keep following them, and that's why I tell people is like when people contact us directly, we don't even look at it. I mean, if you're just gonna go on LinkedIn and send us a message, we're probably not even gonna answer back because we get flooded with people because we are a multi-licensed organization in different types, right? The best success is when people come from somebody like yourself and says, "Hey, I've vetted these people, or I've looked at this, I got contact or not," and that's what it is. So going forward, I will tell you, listen, Canada still needs people, so there's going to be a tweak, and I think incubators are going to be the ones that are going to be impacted the most. I mean, they have to bring in people, but maybe at a slower rate, and it also impacts the number of people. Like we see Canada, there's a lot of people right now that are looking to leave Canada because of the opportunities that are elsewhere, be it US, be it back in their country. So I would tell you, I wouldn't as an entrepreneur, I wouldn't be worried. Canada needs entrepreneurs. Canada needs entrepreneurs quickly, um, uh, but we don't know. I mean, we don't know what the impact is going to be going forward. But we for sure that these programs are going to continue to exist.
Perfect. You're absolutely right. I think now more than ever, with the evolving technology and everything, Canada needs more innovative entrepreneurs. So I think the question now and the uncertainty is with the change of the just government and new ministers and new policies and new maybe just visions and everything that is happening at the moment that we talk about it already, is that how those changes are impacting the startup visa program, that which no one knows. And I think government maybe also still they haven't planned for it. So yeah, that's a good point, and it's important to know that Canada still needs this, so they are not going to eliminate the program. They may make it changer or make it tougher to somehow sort the right entrepreneurs and the right businesses.
If you ask me my opinion, it may be controversial. You're going through the largest shift in immigration in human history right now. You have a lot of people that have money in other countries that are looking for um, somewhere where it's a little less uncertain. So North America with the Atlantic Pacific, we have two oceans, no wars here. Trump's not going to have a war with Canada, so nobody worry about it. We don't have a real army here. So, but I, if you look at it, like the U.S., I think what's going to happen is that with tariffs and everything going on and government being inflated, I think what they're gonna do, Canada is a bit what the US is doing and what Trump's doing is that they're gonna offer, what, you got 5 million here, you buy your residency. It goes straight to the government. So I mean, that's what they're doing. The US, they're like, you know what? Forget all these programs, forget all this stuff. You know what? Here's 5 million US. Here you go. Bam, you get, 1 million people to put 5 million bucks. There goes your, you just fixed a bit of your budget. So, and you got money coming in to generate economic. At the end of the day, that's what it is. You need a bit of innovation. You need a bit of everything. You need a little of everything. Canada right now, if I had to, well, I shouldn't say guess because I don't know what politicians are doing, depending. But if they asked my opinion, I would tell them that exactly that is that to try to get a bit on the on bringing in money to Canada.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And you have mentioned that they might focus more around that readiness stage that the companies are and sorting them, maybe putting some criteria regarding those. So, talking about Whitehaven, what readiness stage do you look for when you are evaluating startups at Whitehaven? And just, do you prefer idea stage, pre-revenue, MVP ready, or revenue generating businesses?
I mean, listen, when you're a VC, you're looking a little more. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, it all depends. Again, it's not really the opportunity. It's the people, right? It's the entrepreneurs, the passion of the entrepreneur. You can have somebody that's a serial entrepreneur that's done it before 3, 4 times and has a good idea, and you're like, wow, you know what? That's an individual we would love to try to bring to Canada and bring his ideas. Then you have other people that are like, oh, you know what? We're just pre-revenue stage, or we, in this part of the world, we think that we can do it in Canada. I mean, it all depends on each one, right? So that's the difference on a venture capital organization is that you're looking at it. So I don't want to say we're completely agnostic in everything, but obviously the later stage you are, the more we de-risk the project, the more we're going to look at it, right? So the more you're a serial entrepreneur more of a serial entrepreneur that has shown a good track record in the past. Even if it hasn't gotten huge, but has built it, sold it, started again. Even sometimes a bankruptcy, or somebody didn't do it. Failure is the best way to learn. And sometimes it's looking at that and saying, you know what, that person makes sense. So I can't really tell you exactly which one, but again, the later stage it is, the more we're interested to look at it, the more it comes from a trusted organization or a trusted individuals, the opportunity, the more we're going to look at it. I think those two, and then obviously the individuals or the head entrepreneur, if you want, who's the leader. Those are really the three main criterias that for us to evaluate something. And then after that, it's looking at details.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's perfect. And given the rise of AI generated ideas, especially we know that in a startup with a program, even the entrepreneurs who have an idea but they haven't implemented yet, they can apply through this program. So now, given this AI generated idea, how does your team differentiate genuine innovation from concept that's largely generated by AI?
Uh, I mean, to answer that question, anybody that's coming with an opportunity that's AI, I'll be honest with you, I don't really look at.
Mm,
I'll go back and I'll give you a simple example for people to understand our philosophy, our logic. Um, when everybody got into crypto, we never touched crypto. We've never touched crypto. When everybody got into electric vehicles, we never got into that. You don't know who the leader is going to be at the end of the day.
mhm,
And we're looking to say, okay, well, we're we're not at the stage that we want to bet on everybody. I mean, in general, right? So what we did is we invested early stage in 2017 in Nvidia. They supply the chips for crypto. They supply the chips for electric vehicles. They're supplying the chips for AI. So that's a bit how we look at everything. So anybody that's coming and telling me I have an AI project, it's like you, AI is going to change the world. Do you honestly think that your project is going to be the one the governments are going to give up? You got a big mountain to climb. Now, if you're part of some network, like you're part of Silicon Valley and you're part of, that network of individuals that have built these companies, yeah, you may be bought out by Facebook or Meta or Google or who knows who. But at the end of the day, it's somebody that's coming to tell me, well, I have an AI project. You know what? It's so early stage that it's, we're not. What is your vision? At the end of the day, what is your vision? So, for example, if somebody comes up and says, "I want to change the way we rent cars," like for example, like an Uber type of thing.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be the AI that's going to be your differentiator. It should be your vision
Yeah.
and how you're going to do it. Like Uber was a disruptor in wanted to disrupt, saying, I want to create a company that's going to take advantage of underutilized underutilized cars, for example, in a taxi service that's not effective at all. And I don't want to own the cars. So they came up with an amazing model. Same thing with Airbnb. So if anybody's coming and has something that can really be focused on the IP being the landlord, and then you know what, letting the market, it could be a royalty model, then we'll look at it. But anybody that's coming in and everybody AI today is just AI. Last year was blockchain. The year before, so it's the fad, right? So it's
IoT, we had 5G and just, yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly. So like everybody comes with a fad. So it's really knocking off the fad and really looking at really what the project is doing or the opportunity is there. And like I said, then once you look at all that, then you really evaluate it. But just because it's AI and like you just look at companies that they put AI in their stock price and it just goes up. It's like
It
so.
doesn't give necessary value. And you're absolutely right. So AI is not what attracts you, it's the pain point that they recognize and then they are trying to address, and making their vision based on that pain point to resolve that pain point is what matters for you. That's
Yeah, I
very
mean, exactly. I mean, we don't know what the exit strategy is going to be. It could be, but anybody coming and saying, okay, well, my exit strategy is going to be, I'm going to be bought out. Well, what if you're not? What happens then, right? And that's the issue that we have. I mean, it shouldn't be AI. I mean, look now, we're getting what do they call the new types of chips based on DNA that are coming out and all kinds of stuff. So the technology should be evolve your opportunity with the technology that comes and the barriers, like we call Porter's five model, but it shouldn't be like, oh, I have this amazing AI opportunity.
yeah.
Okay, fine. I mean, like I'll give you an example. We had an opportunity that came up to us. It was financing, credit scoring. They had a system built on credit scoring, and they used AI to improve their credit scoring. Their business hasn't changed. Their process became more efficient. So that's what I'm saying is that if you can integrate AI into your opportunity to expedite to market, well, of
Process.
course, we're going to be interesting.
That's perfect. And with IRCC limiting designated organization to 10 letter of supports annually, what criteria does Whitehaven prioritize when you are choosing the startups? You already mentioned just few of them, but is there anything else that you want to add here?
For sorry, if you could maybe rephrase the question because it was cutting a little bit.
I'm saying that with IRCC limiting designated organization to 10 letter of support annually, what criteria does Whitehaven prioritize when they are choosing a startups? You have already mentioned in your previous responses a couple of them, but is there anything else that you want our audience to know?
Well, listen, is if it's a twofold part, right? So when you're a designated organization from the RCC, you have to have that in mind that yes, you have a dual role to play. One is obviously maximizing return on investment because you're putting money down, but second is you're basically telling the government that these individuals should be coming into the country and are going to help the country with create jobs and companies, right? So again, it comes to the individuals as well. I mean, if we get opportunities that come in and we see that, well, we don't really understand how you're going to impact the Canadian economy, we're going to challenge that, right? Because it could be, for example, it could be that, listen, we're going to create the market. I mean, you can have it in and say our head office is going to be here. Like I'll give you an example, the mRNA vaccines that Moderna built. Well, they built a facility here in Montreal because they've done a lot of research with McGill University and Dr. Sonnenberg. So it's a bit, that's the idea is like, what are you looking to do if somebody's coming in and saying, well, we have an opportunity where then we're going to transfer the IP to Ireland and then we're going to do the, like, it, it's like, at the end of the day, the IRCC wants to have innovation come to Canada, wants to create jobs for long term. So we try to keep that in our mind. Now, at the end of the day, it's all about, it's not government money. So
Mhm.
there needs to be a return, right? So it's
Yeah,
balancing a bit of, yeah, this is a great opportunity, and these individuals will come in, they're gonna, they're gonna, they should be able to help drive the economy. Now, one opportunity is not going to drive completely the economy, but if everybody has that bit of a mindset and trying to help Canada become a little more innovative and bring some great minds and great opportunities, well, I think it's going to impact it. So at the end of the day, it's like I said, it's a combination of whatever we've just discussed for the last half hour.
yeah, perfect. Thank you. And let's do a quick poll here and ask our audience, at which stage do your clients typically seek VC investment? Is it idea stage, MVP prototype, pre-revenue, operational, or revenue generating? Please drop your answers in the chat and I will review them quickly. Okay, it seems B, MVP, A, idea stage, MVP. That's nice. Okay. So let's conclude this segment and go to the next one, which is priority processing and investment requirement. Regarding priority processing and also the just also VC's parts and the investment that is required from the VC, can you clarify the 200K investment rule for us from the VCs? How does it work?
Yeah, so basically every opportunity requires money. So the whole idea of the start a visa program is to find opportunities, and based on that, to be able to find external investors that would want to partake into this opportunity. So it's obviously external parties, external money that's coming in. Now, the issue that we have in the VC side is, I mean, $200,000 on a VC side is not a substantial amount of money in today's age to be able to bring a company. I mean, just to open up a restaurant is going to cost you 600,000 bucks to $1 million, and
Yeah.
depending on what you're doing, right? So that's where it's at. It's a question of balancing a bit of what level the opportunity is at,
Mhm.
and 200,000 is the minimum, right? So it all depends on the business, where it's at, what stage it's at, when does it need the funding. So yeah, so I mean that's the basically the minimum that needs to be brought from an external party through the SUV.
And at what stage do VCs typically release this investment? Before the obtaining the letter of support or after receiving the PR, obtaining the PR?
Well, again, it all depends on the opportunity, right? But I mean, in a nutshell, I'll tell you, most of the time it's anywhere between after the letter of support and before PR. But again, it all depends on the opportunity, right? So, but normally it's it's that time frame. I mean, you're trying to move the project forward, right? So.
That's good. And what processing timelines have you seen lately? We know that VC is based on the end of April 2024. Just changes. There were some category of prioritized processing timelines, but no one is just having a clear and understandable view of what does that mean. Is it 6 months processing time, or we should expect, or is it 24 months? Is it 3 years? Exactly how does it work? From your experience at Whitehaven, have you seen lately any changes since VCs are prioritized one? Any changes or receiving the PRs just in a shorter time?
Again, it all depends on the individuals looking at the file, the turnover at the government, if there's any. There's so many factors that play in. On the VC side, I think every VC pretty much has their stuff not processed, but I mean streamlined to be able to provide the information, and then it impact the government. So then you have, depending on vacation times, you're getting on timing of the year and all that. So we've seen in the past anywhere from 9 months going to 36 months. They've added individuals. Again, they've said that the timeline is going to get shorter and shorter because they're favoring the VC designated organizations. But again, with new snap elections and everything going on, and it, I mean, it's all within the government, right? And government is always a little slower than the private sector. So
Of course, yeah, that's true. And now it's time for another poll. So, which part of processing is just process is most challenging for your SUV clients? Our participants can drop A for proving the source of fund, B documenting business legitimacy, C meeting IRCC criteria clearly, and D handling extended processing time. Let's see what our audience think. I'm not sure if this B is the answer of this or the previous one, but C, meeting IRCC criteria clearly, B, documenting business legitimacy. Okay, that's perfect and is interesting. D, handling extended processing times. I think this is really challenging because if from our experience also the SUV clients are getting so impatient at the end, and like I understand if putting ourselves into their shoes, immigration is a important decision which is changing everything and just decisions and all the decisions that are making at the moment. So having this long processing time, I think, is exhausting and it's bringing so much uncertainties for the applicants.
yeah,
And
and just to add on there, Mary, is I agree with you. I mean, that's the problem with the processes, and when you don't have fixed deadlines and timelines, is that you just got to go with the flow. And with Canada again bringing in so many people, and if you ask me, I think that I don't think that the Canadian government is going to accelerate certain things. Like I mean, especially on the incubator side. I think on the SUV side is getting shorter the timelines, like they mentioned. But again, we don't. It's the government, right? That they can change tomorrow morning if they want their criteria. Slow down, go faster. So
especially since last year we saw so many of these last minute decisions that they were taking and it was not announced or any heads up. So as like you're right, absolutely. No one knows. It's at the end and the at the end of the day it's in government hands.
yeah.
Um, Perfect. Now we will go to our segment 4, which is a strategic advice. So, what a strategic advice would you offer startups applying to the SUV now, especially given current economic and political uncertainties?
Well, like I'm gonna go back to what I said from the beginning is I always say if you're planning to go this route is find organizations that are connected with the SUVs, the designated organizations under the startup visa program, and start early to discussions to get them to know you to see what they can do to help out before you approach a designated organization. That's my advice. Anybody, like I said, anybody that just sends an email, here's my pitch deck, just trying to force it down your throat. It doesn't work in Canada. Maybe in other countries it does, depending, but in Canada it doesn't work that way. Nobody just wants to get. I mean, it's time is money, right? So if you're getting one pitch deck a day, just being coming from some random, our email, I mean, if we decide to look at it, well, I mean, that's a lot of resource to take a quick look at it, right? And then who are these people and backgrounds and all that. So the advice I'll tell you is exactly that. Really do a bit be prepared. Be prepared on the process, be informed. And at the end of the day, Canada is going to still need people. So anybody that's scared that, oh, Canada may it's just that you have to be patient on the uncertainty that's happening around the world. So, if you need something done quick, well, I mean, speak to an immigration lawyer to see if there's other programs or what exactly you're looking for. Make sure the program meets your needs if it's a deadline that you're really looking for.
Perfect. You already answered my last question that for this segment that it was which advice you are giving to the immigration professionals and the people who are interested in SUV. Thank you so much for your answers. We will go to our poll here to run a quick poll. What additional supports would most help you advise SUV founders? A, better VC network access. B, investment readiness training. C, clearer IRCC guidelines, and D, more sector-specific insights. So let's see what our audience think. Unfortunately, someone cannot see the video. I believe there should be an issue with your internet. A, better VC network access. A, B, investment readiness training. B and C, clearer IRCC guidelines. Okay, perfect. So we will wrap up here. Thank you, Tommy, again for joining us today and sharing your insights with us. And thank you, everyone. Now we will move into our Q&A session. We have 10 minutes for the Q&A sessions. So post your question in the chat or send them directly. And I was looking at the chat. I saw that within the discussion, you were sending some of the questions. Also, some of you at the time of registration send us some questions. So we will go through some of these questions. I will start with, are certain industries more likely to secure VC funding currently? Are there any certain industries that you are looking or you are more interested in?
You're talking about for a VC that would be looking at something
Yeah,
right now?
like are you looking into agriculture or tech, just tech innovation parts? So what is specific, or you are industry neutral? You are looking at everything.
Well, I mean, again, it comes to the same thing as when we're looking at the traditional investments, right? We're looking at something in Canada focused. Canada has low demographics. Quebec and Ontario are going through baby boomers through mass retirement. So anybody coming with a manufacturing project here,
Mhm.
man, you better have robotics integrated into your manufacturing process because there's no people here to work, right? You have to look at a bit in Japan. If you go to Japan, there's like nobody working. It's all robots, it's all automation. Canada is becoming a bit retirement home here. I mean, that's why we're bringing all these immigrants. So anybody coming in with a manufacturing, it's like, okay, where are you going to get your workers, right? Unless you're automating. Tech side, okay, you bring your tech side, develop it here. Canada has 40 million population. We're part of a world that's a consumption-based economy. How do you make money on 40 million people? Now, if you have a niche market, that's fine. But again, we look at it and say, okay, well, can you tackle a world market to be able to be in? So, like I said, we're not really industry focused per se, saying, okay, we need AI fad, so we're looking at anything AI right now, because sometimes it's coming in and saying, oh, well, listen, I have, I don't know, I mean, an agricultural project that makes sense. I have a technology ready to go, but I don't have farms. Well, there's all these farmers in Canada, their kids don't want to run farms. So maybe you can consolidate a lot of these things to do, increase the proof of concept. And there's the Canadian agriculture organization that can help out with financing. So it all depends. I mean, that's where we're at, like renewable energy, something in renewable energy that might be something we would be looking at. Batteries, I mean, like anything that
As with the
makes sense. I mean, it all depends, right? So we're not really looking. It depends on the money too. I mean, if you're coming in, you want to build a battery facility, it's going to cost $25 million to put
yeah.
it together, and it's in lab setting. Well, where's your manufacturing process to scale up, right? So a lot of stuff like that. So I would tell you, Canada, what it needs is projects that are going to have robotics included in it, because there's no way. I mean, anybody coming in that's especially like healthcare, anything related to healthcare, to help elderly people, to facilitate in an easy way certain things. Like I was at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas in January, and I saw a lot of healthcare that was related, was coming out of South Korea. South Korea has the one of the worst demographics, birth rates. I mean, zero point 0.7, I think, under zero point 0.7. There's no replacement population. So they have literally robots that are in elderly's homes where live the family members can see what's going on, can pull out their medication for them, can all kinds of stuff. So if you look at Canada, we're behind. That's where we're headed, right? So we look at stuff that we think can be successful in Canada. Now, there may be an opportunity in, like I said, renewable energy, where it's not really Canada that needs it, but Europe may need it. And then it could be, so it all depends.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And the next question is how immigration will reshape after before the election. I think you already answered this question. The next question is in this quarter, lots of work permit refusal on a startup visas. Is there any specific reason that IRCC are not approving work permits? Um, we are not immigration professionals, so maybe it's better if we are not answering this. But what I want to mention is that, and answer this question, is that you are not alone. This is what we are hearing from immigration professionals that every day, without reason or with some unreasonable, just, like the things that they are mentioning on the refusal letters, they are not acceptable, unfortunately. And like they are doing this for so many visas. There's not any problem with your case, or don't feel lonely on this, but hopefully they will find a solution for it. What support do you provide to our clients? So from your side, Tommy, we know that incubators usually they are not just injecting money or investing on the startups, but they are providing mentorship or the space for the businesses for a short time and some other consulting services. So how does this work for the VC firms? Are you required to put and provide any specific support or no? It's just the investment.
Well, I mean, be it SUV or any other investment, anybody that puts money into something that's private, you want some sort of oversight or you want some sort of reporting, right? So that doesn't change. Um, Again, I know I keep saying the same thing. It all depends on the project, right? You get a serial entrepreneur that knows what he's doing. Hey, we don't want to be in front of him. You know what? Go do what you need to do. You get somebody that's has a good idea, that's a scientist. Well, he needs a little more guidance, right? Even though he's got some really good ideas, so sometimes you gotta realign them. So it all depends on when we look at everything what they're looking for because sometimes we don't have time either to be able. I mean, I've asked many times from a lot of companies if I can sit on their board or I can provide them do a presentation because I do a lot of presentations around the world as well too. Again, we're open to a lot of these things. It all depends on the opportunity, right? Sometimes it's just literally great group of individuals that are going to lead the charge, and we don't want to be the roadblock. We want to have some sort of corporate governance around it, and sometimes not knowing Canada works in a certain way, we help out. But again, it's more of a ad hoc, as we go forward, discussion on seeing what the needs are.
That's yeah, exactly. So the last poll is about the feedback of our audience about these sessions. What addition? No, sorry. What is your feedback on this webinar session? Very informative. A, somewhat informative, and not very informative, and D, poorly organized and presented. We have only 2 minutes till the end of the webinar, so I appreciate if you can share your insights, or you can feel free to send us your comments if that works better for you, and send the email to info@genesislink.ca. So I will wait a few seconds here to see what are the responses. A, very informative. Thank you, Rizwan. Thank you, Richard. A,
And if anybody wants to get a bit of information on some of my insights in my organizations, like I said, Mary will share you the link that you could share with people. But if people are dying to read right now, they could go on our Instagram account or LinkedIn on Whitehaven Canada and Whitehaven, and there's a link tree link tree, I think it's called, link that has all the articles
Yeah,
for a
sure.
while. So,
We
so
will send a recording of this webinar to the people who registered, and even if they didn't attend, we will send them the recording. And on that email, for sure, we will send those information, the link to your article that we discussed today as well there. And last notes for today is that, like, the whole thing is bringing us to the end of this today's webinar. A big thank you again for our fantastic guest, Tommy, for sharing your valuable insight with us today. Your expertise has given us lots to consider, and thank you again everyone who attended and participated actively. We greatly appreciate your engagement and your thoughtful questions. If you have any further question, if you have any suggestion for future topics, please reach out to us at info@genesislink.ca. Stay connected with Genesis Link. We look forward to seeing you again in our next Startup Gateway webinar. Have a wonderful day and thank you. Bye.
take care.
Thank you. Bye.